yembali sakhizwe. Imbali iyatiswa ukuthi ingeti netinele tekwebolekwa, inga-makeup, inga-rouge. Obabe tikhulu abayele bantfu labangaphasi kwabo kutsi bangalokothi batsinze noma bashaye libutfu. Nakwendekile lokho, nalo lilahle kubo. Tinsatseli tekhaya netangephandle tiyayalwa kutsi titsatsisise kahle ngaphambi kwekuthi tibhale. Bayethe wena waphakade.
Very good morning and welcome to Kusile Breakfast. Just Margaretini Ketevanatin Omplexeni Maswat Lamahle. It's a Friday, the 25th of August 2023. Xelelanga linye ukuthi CM17 lomkhulu welive wema primary elections. Kamalami ngilungelele makakona with my co-host Mngoni Sfiso. How do you do this morning?
Sivukile Thombele njani?
Yeah, siphilile Mngoni
singena. Well. Can't complain. Do you know what? I'm actually thinking ukuthi sisangena kuyo lempela sonto tangoma telitulu sethi confirmile ukuthi ilitaba liphakamisile lokusho ukuthi ke ku voter vele kutahamba kahle kakhulu ema elections taba ngomsebenzi lo mhla I think social lo ukuthi sekusele nje lilanga linye kuphela sathemba ukuthi ke emaswati atawuphuma ngetinombolo kuya kuto tikhungo letahlukene lapha eveni kuyavota Eswatini TV ke itabe isiniketa yona ibroadcast yalo lukhetho siyakuthatha ke emaswati ukuthi abukele cishe nje ngomsebenzi welkhetho kule mphela sonto.
Yeah, lokho nje Sfiso I think nalo libandla iBC lithembisele ukuthi kutaba bede line lamathe bamfla abadala labakhubatekile labadekhwele nabo batawu ngebangena emalayinini batawukhona nje kuvele bavote emasenyana so sethemba ukuthi konke kutawuhamba ngemumo njengekuhlela kwalo libala.
Yeah, kanti ke sibabonile nalabaqhuba tincola timotolo ema bus rank I think 2 days ago etinzabeni babakhulumisile nje baqinisekisa nabo ukuthi vele batabe babambisile live ekuthenge bathuthe sona sive kuya kuto letikhungo letahlukene tekuvota so we excited kubona umsebenzi kwana nami lungelele ngiyovota khona leshiselwe nesifundzeni sangakithi ngeke ngisho kwinkundla yami inyalo kodwa nje ngiyahamba ngiyovota ngiyathemba ukuthi nawe khwalo tawuhamba uyomvota ngicela sombonile ngoba kufuna njalo ngaso vele sombonile
sengisemvele nginaye in mind.
Yeah.
All right, simukela on the show namhla sidabe sinaye Communications Director losuka Eswatini Revenue Service njengenjwayelo kusingabe lesihlanu sikhumadana nje tindzaba tekubhadalwa kwemthelo namhla ke sidabe sikhuluma ngema requirements for temporary importation of goods kuye kwendeke ukuthi kube nama occasions lapho khona ama import duties and taxes aba suspended when goods are imported for a temporary period for both commercial and private purposes. Namhla ke we will talk about goods temporarily imported for commercial purposes sidabe sinaye nje futhi Dlamini atasichazela kabanti njengama-examples awo ema-temporary importation goods lapha ekhathi imikhiqido le ingena lapha eSwatini uma ngabe ufuna uku-exhibita something kanye nema-leased or hired plant equipment machinery coming to your firm to perform a certain process. Sidabe sinaye Vusi Dlamini lo mhla 6:30 atosichazela kabanti ngema-requirements ukuthi ingabe vele mhlawumbe uyithola kanjani ivele i-go ahead from ERS.
Kanzi-ke kutemidlalo sidaba nayo insatheli yemsakato yetemidlalo Linda Master Dlamini kukhulumisa nje tindzaba letichubekako kutemidlalo kusukela eNingizimu Afrika silibhekise khona eNgilandi sibuke-ke naseSpain ukuthi kuchubekani lapha kulala ikhapha nje kubuka nje la South Africa sibonile i-Sundowns lapha khona Junior Mendieta ligoli lakhe libe enough ekutheni liwinise yona iMamelodi Sundowns over iRichards Bay ngalesithathu. Here's a team-ke in Sundowns that is showing no signs of slowing down. Ekutheni kube a team that is a force to reckon with. Over the past seasons, ikhombisana ukuthi vele iyachubeka, it's not slowing down. Indeed, sitachubeka sibuke nje nalenye i-game outside of yona yeSikhukhune United nayo i-Cape Town City lapho khona sibone Chibuwike Ohizu lokho nje ligol in the first and only goal on the 6th minute of the game. Lokubeke ligol libese licetha wona loyo mdlalo kanti-ke English Premier League sibonile Arsenal making it to 2 wins from 2 with a hard-fought 1-0 victory over Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park Stadium to maintain their early Premier League title challenge. Sidabuka ke naseSpain ekutheni kuchubekani lapha kula Liga. All of that when Linda Master Dlamini asijoyina lomhla elihlelweni.
First lesikhathi yasibuke nje lethamba embili kumaphephandaba ethu lomhla kungezihlanu. Saqala ngebuka i-Times of Eswatini lo mhla kungesihlanu inhloko ethamba embili. Good news for eMaswati from India. Njengoba nje ingwenyama etfule itolo democredence from ambassador wase-India nasiyasithombe lesivelako. Letinye ethamba embili Eswatini inyanga's HIV and AIDS complementary medicine approved. Traditional healer identified by team of UNESCO researchers will be unveiled next week. Good news for liquor traders after court ruling. Delegate from primary elections, polling stations have increased to 700. Man forges chief's signature to get gun.
Kutemidlalo ku Times of Eswatini. Elite Football Office intensifies fundraising drive. Its PLE's 420,000 emalangeni jackpot. Nzaba kelena lesayibonene stadium perimeter boards set to rake in hundreds of thousands of emalangeni following the purchase of 42 stadium perimeter boards from COSAFA. The Premier League of Eswatini is on the brink of raking in 420,000 emalangeni during the Momo Cup enyangeni lelandzelako. Kanti-ke Trade Fair Cup 2023 dream is still alive. This follows indzaba ikwekuthi it is a fact that the epitome of the country's international trade fair is the elite football knockout dubbed the trade fair. Ema developments ke ekutheni iphindze ibuye leyo tournament leyo asesekhona ema-hopes. Kanti-ke kulenye lehamba embili league kick-off indzaba ke lena lethinza i-PLE waits as Mavuso Somhlolo is unavailable. Kanti-ke Bucks must finish job kusho Riviero kuleti qhamuka ngaseNingizimu Afrika.
Nasibuka eSwatini Observer lo muhla lethamba embili ngetoleto denkosi mswati sithathu nakatfola ama-letters of credence from ambassador wase-Japan kanye nase-India. Kuletinye thamba embili all set for primary elections ngekusho kwelibandla i-EBC. There'll be no queuing for elderly, expectant women, people with disabilities and albinism. Kuletinye thamba embili 55 tetfulo will be next week Thursday. Tinyanga all night prayer conflicting ngekusho kwa bishop kani kuletinye thamba embili another most wanted suspect has been arrested.
Kanti-ke the leading story on the Eswatini Observer Sports, indzaba letsinza the height of the country's envoys competing in continental football. The Eswatini Football Association has offered 500,000 emalangeni financial injection to boost the elite teams as they conquer Africa. Indzaba ke lena lesayibukwe as a relief for Green Mamba as well as Buffs ladies. Kanti-ke kulenye lehamba embili PLE not losing hope on Trade Fair Cup.
As for Eswatini Daily News, their leading headlines: UNESCO launches 145 million amalangeni bold project. Letinye lethamba embili, King receives letters of credence from Japan, India ambassadors.
Kuma sports, ku Eswatini Daily News, the leading story: Bull wants 300,000 emalangeni from PLE. Highlanders Managing Director Chief Ali Khomongwe Nasisthombe Sakhe says they are ill-treated by PLE, which has allegedly withheld their prize monies, including last season's Momo Cup and Premier League. Full stories on page 23. Kanti-ke kulenye, its coaches congratulate Green Mambas Noctula. Kanti-ke kule qhamuka ku international front, we won't sign Mbappe, kusho Carlo Ancelotti.
All right, it's 10 minutes after 6. Daw tasarke funa sibuya si daw buya ndindzaba tethu teswati.
Umsakazo wetithombe iEswatini TV utibophelele kuhlonipha nekulandzela umgomo wetekusakata loweluswe libandla letekuchumana eVeni.
Ngephansi kwalomgomo sitimisele kusakata tindzaba letentiya ngaleso sikhatsi, tindzaba letide magama lacosheme, letitsembekile, letitsintsa tonke tinhlangotsi naletisebaleni.
Kusukela kutepolitiki, tetemphilo, tekulima, tetinkantolo netemhlaba wonke jikelele, siniletsela tindzaba njengoba tinjalo ngaleso sikhatsi letenteka ngaso.
Kanti kulomsakato siphindze sikulethele lonke luhlobo lwetemidlalo kusuka emidlalweni welibhola letinyawo kuye emidlalweni ledlalelwa ematafuleni kanye naleto letichamuka ngaphandle kwakuleli.
Leti tindzaba lowutiletselwa ngumsakazo wetithombe iEswatini TV.
Kwelo muhle asiphindze sikwamukele ehlelweni sibuke nati tindzaba. Silo semhlaba sithi kundlondlobalisa buhlobo emkhatsini welive leSwatini neleJapan kutawufaka sandla ekuthuthukeni kwelive leSwatini. Ingwenyama beyikadze iphefumula esigodlweni ngalozitha ngesikhatsi yemukela tincwadzi tebuncusa kulonxusele live leJapan kuleli.
Lonxusele elive leJapan Evan leSwatini His Excellency Yoshito Shigeru ufike esigodlweni ngalozitha kutakwetfula tincwadzi takhe tebuncusa esilweni semhlaba. Live leSwatini neleJapan acinisekise buhlobo nekundlondlobalisa budlelwane emkhatsini kwawo njengoba anekuhambisana emigomeni nasetinhlangothini letehlukene. Etfula tincwadzi takhe tebuncusa ambassador welive leJapan uthe leSwatini neleJapan linebuhlobo lobusukela eminyakeni leminingi kakhulu njengoba baqala ngeminyaka wa-1971.
Japan has been deeply committed to contributing to Eswatini's priorities areas such as education, health care, agriculture, food security, and climate change through technical assistance, grant aid, and grant assistance for grassroots human security projects. I look forward to further promoting our bilateral relations and to continue contributing to the development of Eswatini.
Silo semhlaba sithe siyathamba ukuthi imbasada utawubambisana neleSwatini ngokuqinisa buhlobo kakhulu kunakuqala. Yemukela dona tincwadzi tebuncusa ingwenyama ithe leJapan ilisitile yaphindze futhi yalisekela leSwatini etinhlangothini letehlukene.
We are grateful that there is that cooperation and of course also through TICAD which Japan is working with all African countries to make sure that the African countries do meet the goals which they want to reach. As you are aware that the African Union has a 2063 vision to make all people living in Africa to have a much better lifestyle in all sectors. And we are looking forward that as Africans, we will achieve this goal even before 2063. This is our hope. But we know that we need support and friends like Japan to be there to give us all the support.
Lamave lamabili anebudlelwane lesebuhambe umgamo lomutse kanti aphindze futhi abenedivumelwano tekubambisana etinhlangothini letehlukene. Etintsabeni kubika Pholile Maziya esigodlweni kaLozitha.
Silo semhlaba sithi budlelwane lobuhle lobukhona emkhatsini kwelive leSwatini nele India. Busifakazelo sebuhlobo lobuhle nekubambisana lobukhona emkhatsini kwelive kati leAfrika kanye ke nelive leIndia. Imbube ithi lobudlelwane lobukhona butawuthelela nasetinhlangothini letinye tekubambisana ingonyama bekatse iphefumula ngesikhathi yemukela tincwadzi tebunxusa kulonxusa lelive leIndia kuleli esigodlweni kaLozitha.
Lonxusele live le Republic of India kuleli His Excellency Ram Prasad ube ngumbasada wesibili kufika esigodlweni kaLozitha kutakwethula tincwadzi takhe tebunxusa esilweni semhlaba. Mbasada ufike esigodlweni ahamba nebandla lakhe lebelimsingethe. Budlelwane emkhathini kwelive leSwatini nele India bungulobusimamile lobuseqophelelweni lelisetulu nalobuneminyaka leminingi solobaba khona. Ethula tincwadzi takhe tebunxusa lonxusele iIndia kuleli uvete ukuthi leSwatini liyingcenye lenkulu yentuthuko yelive leIndia.
On behalf of the Government of India, I convey our gratefulness to Your Majesty and Government for the great support extended to various India's candidatures at various multilateral fora. To build upon this and to further boost our bilateral relationship, I have reached out to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation for organizing the next Foreign Office consultations between India and Eswatini at a mutually convenient date and venue. Your Majesty, as I assume my duties as High Commissioner of the Republic of India to the Kingdom of Eswatini, I wish to assure Your Majesty that during my service, I will do everything I can to develop the relations between our two countries even further.
Silo semhlaba semukela tincwadzi tebunxusa sithe kubambisana lokukhona emkhathini kwelive leSwatini nelive leIndia kunemthelela lomuhle. Ingonyama ibonge live leIndia ngekusekela leSwatini etinhlangothini letehlukene.
We are looking forward that even the new parliament building which you've just mentioned, which I'm told the designs are at an advanced stage, and pretty soon we will be doing the cutting of the sword, which is very, very important, and of course as well as the backup system which backs up the RSTP, the data center, that one which the site also has been identified as to where this particular backup system will be placed. We are looking forward to the completion of this new project, big project which India is engaged. It actually goes with the fact that India has promised some of these things during the Africa Summit. You do not just make the empty promises, but you also back it up with serious action.
Lamave lamabili anetivumelwano kutekuthengiselana temphilo kanye netivumelwano tekungena kulamave lamabili emkhatsini kwebantfu bawo. Etindzabeni kubika Pholile Maziya esigodlweni kaLozitha.
Silo semhlaba sesibusise ukuthi ngalesine evikini lelitako nathi ngemashumi lamatsatfu nakunye kube lilanga lekwetfula tipho temkhosi wekugubha iminyaka lengemashumi lasihlanu nesihlanu live latfola amazibuse kanye ke neminyaka lengemashumi lasihlanu nesihlanu inkwenyama yatalwa. Lesimemetelo sikhishwe indvuna yelitiko letasekhaya umfana Nkosi Lindiwe lotsite emalungiselelo alo mkhosi sekasecophelweni lelisetulu.
Inkwenyama ke seyibusisile bekunene kwekuthi lilanga letipho litaba mhla ka-31 enyangeni lesetulu kutabe kungilesine. Lo msebenzi lona awenteka eMandvulo esigodlweni lapho khona utawucala nga-9 ekuseni. Nga-2 bantu bebheke ukuthi nga-9 babe sebavele bacala baletha labo labalethe tipho tabo bese nga-2 uyacala umsebenzi. Sithanda kubonga bobabetikhulu nemimango nabo somabhizinisi bese bavele bacalile kutshengisa ukuthi bayawusekela lo msebenzi wenkosi. Singasho ukuthi emalungiselelo alo msebenzi sekavele asecopheleleni lelisetulu. Njengoba niyabona bekunene noma nihamba lapha bosomhlolo stadium niyabona ukuthi kuyaphithitelwa vele kuyasetshenzwa kuvele kulungele lelo langa. Siyeva ke ukuthi vele eMaswati anayo le excitement anayo le njabulo nasi siyakhuluma bonke sebabheke ukuthi uyawufika nini mhla ka6. Sicela ke ukuthi bekunene sibe ngilesihloniphako ngalelo langa sitiphathe kahle. Bayethe wena waphakathi.
Indvuna yelitiko letemabhizinisi nekutsengiselana Manqoba Khumalo ithi lelitiko kuyalitfokotisa kakhulu kwemukela abahlanyeli timali labatibophelele kuholela tisebenti kangcono. Indvuna beyikhulumana etfula abahlanyeli timali labatawuvula ifem lekhicita timphahla kufaka ekhatsi emasokisi kaHlatsi eShiselweni.
Sikhwama se-Reconstruction Fund lesaphakamiswa iNgwenyama siyachubeka kusimamisa emabhizinisi laphatamseka eminyakeni lemibili lendlulile. Lesikhwama sisekele kusukunyiswa kabusha kwesakhiwo sefema kaHlatsi ngemali lengu-50 million emalangeni. Indvuna yelitiko lemabhizinisi Manqoba Khumalo ithi bahlanyeli timali lesebatawusebenta kulesakhiwo i-Gender Group sebahlele kucasha eMaswati langemakhulu lamane.
Kunenkampani ke lapha le yakha emasokisi. Le nkampani le yakha emasokisi ibitwa nge-Gender Group isesikhwahlande. Cishe emasokisi onke 80% lo akhanzako esikhwahlande akhiwa ngile nkampani le. Kuyasijabulisa kakhulu lokhu ngoba siva nje ukuthi le nkampani lena inkampani letiphatha kahle tisebenzi besifuna vele inkampani lengafuni kubhadala bo minimum wage but ibhadale bo living wage. Bathi ke vele bayethembisa ukuthi batawuba ngcono ngemiholo kunalabanye oza kwabo ngoba bona banefilosofi lekahle ukuphatha kahle tisebenzi.
Umphathi welidolobha lakaHlatsi Phesheya Dlamini uthi bakutfokotela kuvuswa kwalesakhiwo.
Nyalo nje kude abantu bebakade basebenza abantu bahlele emakhaya eziyalimala lefem so losuku lo likithi lifana nokuthi lisuku loluhle lokudalwa kwedolobha lakaHlatsi kuba naku sinesifem lensha nema investors lamasha lataba kulo ledolobha sithakase kakhulu. Ngekusho kwenkampani yahulumende i-Micro Project lesakhiwo kubhekeke ukuthi sibe siphelele ngcono no ekupheleni kwenyanga letako. Lobika-ke tindzabeni Eswatini TV nguthando kuhle Mdluli ngikaHlatsi.
Litiko letemfundvo lithi emakhono adlala indzima lenkhulu ekwakheni ematfuba emisebenti kulabo labafundzele imisebenti yetandla. Bafundzi labangetulu kwemakhulu lamatsatfu labafundzele imisebenti yetandla leyahlukene baphothule ihhotela le-The George kaManzini ngalesine. Letifundvo tisekelwe inhlangano yaka-World Vision.
Bafundzi bemfundo yalabadzala labangemakhulu lamatsatfu nesithupha baphothule emsebentini wetandla lofaka ekhatsi kubata
kushisela kuhlobisa pheceleti ideko iupholstery kuthunga nalokunye baphothula nje bathethe isikhathi lesingaba ngomnyaka bafunza lebekamelele induna yetemfundo bekungDr Ntombenhle Dlamini lothide litiko letemfundo liyathokota nalibona abafunzi bangenela umsebenzi wetandla ngoba bayakhona ukudiphilisa ekakhulukazi esikhatsini lapho khona amathuba emisebenzi sewaba indlala.
Sibuke kakhulu indzaba yekudevelopa emakhono kubo bonke tifundiswa tethu takangwane noma ngabe wengce enyuvesi noma wengce kuphi sesibonile ukuthi umhlaba uthuthuka ngemakhono nebantu bathuthuka ngemakhono.
Umcondzisi welihlangosi lwamabhizinisi lamancane nalasemkhatsini etiko letemabhizinisi Mluleki Dlamini uthumise labasebenzisana nesikolo sakasebenta labaqinisekisile ukuthi bafunzi bayokuthola labakudzingako basafunza.
Thine kusiniketa insight lenkulu kakhulu lokuthi lokho bacale lamabhizinisi phindze futhi akhone lokukhula ngalokuthi siyathi lokuthi vele iyouth inabo lokuthi i-challenge nge-employment.
Letifundo-ke betisekelwe inhlangano yaka World Vision.
Vision designs programs to address the contextual issues that are happening in the country.
Siyezama ke lokuthi bantu bethu mangabe sebagraduateile sizame kubabuka ukuthi lengaphandle bayakhona ukusebenza.
Kanti ke labanye labaphothule ngaphambilini kuthiwa-ke sevele bayakhona-ke ukudiphilisa ngawo ke makhono lebawatholile. Etindzabeni ngimgiyani Msibi nginasimuva Shongwe nasebenele Mthethwa George Kamanzini.
Litiko letemafa lithi ngeluhlangothi lwalo lwe-Center for Financial Inclusion libuka indlela tekutsi sibe siningi sive lesikhonako kufinyelela etimalini nalesifundziseke kahle ngetimali. Mabhalane lomkhulu etiko letemafa sizakele Dlamini ukuvete lokhu ngesikhatsi tinhlangothi letahlukene tihlangene ehotela le-Hilton Garden Inn eMbabane kwakha umgomo wesibili wekuhlanganisa emaswati eluhlelweni lwetimali loluhlelekile.
Lucwaningo lwe-Finscope lweminyaka wanga-2018 luveta ukuthi sive semaswati lesineminyaka lengu-18 kuya etulu sinalo lwati ngetimali futhi siyafinyelela etimalini. Lokhu kufaka ekhatsi labo labasebenzisa imabhangi netinhlangano tetimali. Litiko letemafa lithi kunesidingo sekuthi sonke sive sigcina sikhona kusebenzisa imabhangi naletinhlangano sisasebenzisa timali.
Sisike silitiko sibuka ipolicy kuthi kuko konke lesikwendako nema-partners ethu emabhange njengoba kusangawona nababo-mobile money bonke kuthi basakha lama-products bayibuka yini le agenda i-financial inclusion ukuthi thina sidawona ipolicy bona bese bakha lama-products sebaya lesiveni babanika sisenda i-financial inclusion asibahlanganise sende ama-clusters lama-farmers sibambisene ne-agriculture kuthi sisabafundzisa kusebenta bese sinesidala ngemuva sesisike abangene financial sector solo siphusha le agenda financial inclusion.
Lisekela lemphatho welibhange lelikhulu kuleli Central Bank of Eswatini lithi bona bakhonela kwesekela emabhange akhe imigomo letawucinisekisa ukuthi sive siyafinyelela etimalini.
Sibukete ukuthi le financial system iphephe iphephisa ukuthi sonke sibe la ngekhathi kuyo sitokhona kunaka lemithetho le protector noma levikela le financial system. Umnotho uthuthuka ngokuthi sonke siparticipate kuwo. Uma ngabe kukhona abantu labasele ngaphandle angeke uthuthuke lo mnotho.
Lucwaningo lwe-Finscope lweminyaka wanga-2018 luphindze livete ukuthi tinhlangothi tetimali tikhonile kwekuthi bantfu labadzala labalinganiselwa ku-15% lebekadze bangakhoni kusebentisa letinhlangano nemabhange bagcine bakhonile kutisebentisa. Etindzabeni teSwatini TV kubika Nelson Dlangamandla kunavuma inkosi inzinisa eMbabane.
Kutemidlalo inhlangano yemidlalo wevolleyball ithi emakomiti lahlukahlukene baceceshi kanye nalawo abonompembe sekakhombe kudlala inzima lenkhulu ekunyuseni izinga lalomdlalo ikakhulukazi ngesikhathi lamacembu yamelele live emidlalweni yangephandle.
Njengendlela yokuthuthukisa umdlalo wevolleyball lapha eveni, inhlangano seyisukumise amabandla lamabili lokuyi-Eswatini Volleyball Coaches Commission lokulibandla lebaceceshi kanye ne-Eswatini Volleyball Referees Commission lokulibandla labonompempe. Ngekusho kwamabhalane walenhlangano Nobuhle Dlamini, lamabandla atawusita kakhulu kuthi amacembu alomdlalo ahlukahlukene akhone ukuthi nakaphumela ngaphandle ayomelela live abe nalo lwati lwalomdlalo ngokwehlukahlukana kwawo. Umsebenzi lomkhulu ababhekene nawo lenhlangano kusukumisa likhethelo leliva lelitawumelela live emidlalweni yesifundza letawubanjelwa eZimbabwe ngenyanga letako. Bebiyela umsakathi Eswatini TV temidlalo ngilinda Dlamini kanzombeki uhlanganisa nguFabrice Msonera eMbabane.
Betingako ungayilo muhle sibahlo letimakethe ngesimo selitulu sitawubuyane baka ERS.
International Trade Fair. Eswatini TV brings you a trade fair promotion and a double celebration package. 5-minute live interview on location for only 4,600 emalangeni. A live Kusile breakfast show interview on location for as low as 3,450 emalangeni. 30 seconds complimentary message for only 12,638 emalangeni 50 cents. 30 seconds commercial advert with a minimum of 20 slots, corporate for only 659 emalangeni 15 cents. Small medium enterprise for only 332 emalangeni 72 cents. Promotion ends on the 30th of September 2023.
Welcome back. Siyakuvusela nawo lothandza kusivelela njengoba kungelesihlanu sikhuluma dona tindzaba tekubhadalwa kwemthelo. Evingeni eliphelile sakhuluma ngemthelo i-withholding tax on rental payments. Namhlanje sitawube sikhuluma ngema requirements for temporary importation of goods. Kunetikhathi lapho khona import duties and taxes are suspended when goods are imported for a temporary period for both commercial and private purposes. Namhlanje sitawube sikhuluma ngema goods that are temporarily imported for commercial purposes. Sesivele sinaye lapha Vusi Dlamini, Communications Director Eswatini Revenue Service. Nkosi siyabonga ukuthi ube nathi futhi namhla ekseni sesikhuluma dona nje tindzaba tekubhadalwa kwemthelo. I think nje kusichazela ukuthi vele nasikhuluma nge-temporary importation of goods sitheni kahle kahle kuyini lokho?
Sibonge Lulu, siyakhumbula ukuthi every time na ungenisa timpahla event la kaNgwane kubhekeka ukuthi udingenisa bese ubhadala umthelo depending ukuthi tichamuka kuphi leto timpahla. Now the main reason you pay tax is because the tax law ibhadalako sithi especially VAT sithi destination based, which means you pay the tax where you are going to consume the goods. So basically if uletha timpahla event la kaNgwane utiletha ngekuthi utotisebenzisa vele fully in the country, then you will pay tax here. And that is why you will find that if you have consumed a service or a good in South Africa, let's say you had gone to South Africa, you slept in a hotel, you consumed a good there, a service there, you can't take it back to Eswatini. You will not pay tax here, you will pay tax there, you'll pay the VAT there. Now, temporary importation then means we are you are importing them into the country, but you are not really going to use them in the country. So you will bring them in the country for whatever reason. I think you could be bringing them, Kuluma Logo, because there's also the trade fair coming. You could be bringing these goods for pure exhibition. Like exhibition, you just showing off the goods and you will take them back. You will take them out of the country again. So clearly those goods will not be consumed here. They came here purely for exhibition. You could be bringing this as an item that is in for rental. For instance, you are going to be using it as a rental item, but you are going to take it back. Normally, ukanza kutsukubai equipment lapo, where big companies, they will be bringing items into the country, certain equipment for rental purposes, but then they will take the equipment back out of the country. So there is no expectation that that product or lama goods lao they are consumed in the country. So they then fall under the temporary importation.
So it could be any type of goods, based on mhlambe huge machinery, mhlambe equipment, anibuglo ukuthi mhlambe lo kusakhulu kakhulu, just any type of good, as long as mhlambe kunalama requirements la khonele kuwa fulfill lo ilongenza lama goods lawo.
Yes, as long as I fulfill our requirements, it doesn't matter the type of equipment, but obviously there will be certain requirements that maybe you want me to talk to, that yes, we would expect that one, you should get that prior approval. You wouldn't just rock up at the border. Would say, equipment in the country, you should make an application so that we give you that approval and give you the requirements. Would say you should have, because again, let's remember, we then say to you, you need to give us sbambi sonda. So good say, in an event the good or that item doesn't go back, then at least, because if the item low let's have on equipment, it then means it has been consumed here, it has been used here. So then it means you should pay the VAT or the duties if it is coming outside of SACU. So that then necessarily means you need to give us, as part of their requirements, you need to give us a deposit. Some people will make a deposit in cash in our account, or so they will do what we call a bond with a bank, an arrangement with a bank to say let's have equipment now. So insurance, some will use insurance, so that in an event this happens, then I will basically use that as money that I have already paid as VAT or duties for the goods, because I've used them in the country. So essentially those are the key things. Then what normally then happens is that so we chigisale equipment in the case of equipment, because we say it will be equipment that is for rental, which you are renting and using in the country. It could be goods for exhibition, it could be samples. Some people will bring things into the country because produce a certain things, so they want to see the physical things. So they bring them into the country as samples. They will not use them in the country. We say they will pay the VAT. Then then we refund them that cash.
Oh, okay. So does being tax compliant as a business or a company fall under the requirements those goods temporarily?
Obviously, if you are dealing with us, we will be giving you those things because you are compliant. Because if you are not, then it means you will have problems at some point in time. So it is crucial that one of the things that you should actually be compliant.
Okay, ngosina sikhuluma nje ngema temporary imported goods kuba isikhathi lesinganani vele ukuthi mhlambe ngiyabekisa ngiyayingenisa leyo mpahla yami inyalo lokusicala nje October. How much time do I have until I export it back mhlambe kulelo live lelo?
We would give you a period not exceeding 6 months if you are normally that will be in equipment, but for trade fair as an example, the trade fair starts on the 1st of September, finishes on the 10th. You will expect that if someone brought things here within that period, they would have actually taken those goods back, but we say maximum would be 6 months. So in case they are actually bringing items for rental purposes, we say maximum is 6 months, but you find that some businesses say, oh, umsebenzi wethu awukapheli noma ke sisaqhubeka noma noma kwenda again. We then say alert us on time when you immediately notice that utawudzinga for a little bit more time. So inform us so that we can extend the period.
All right. I think ukhulumile Nkosi ngenzaba ukuthi mangabe business you want to import goods, you need to send your application through prior. Ingabe nje lokho nje I think uvete ngenzaba trade fair ukuthi I think some of lama businesses la batabe nje ba exhibitor batawufuna ukungenisa ama goods. Ingabe basasinaso yini isikhathi nasikhuluma nga prior sikhuluma ngesikhathi esinganani lokho nje trade fair icala mhla ka 1.
Usually we say you should bring the application not less than 30 days before, so that nathi sitoti assurisha ukuthi konke lokufanele sikwenda accordingly, and then write you that letter to use at the border when you import the goods, because the other crucial bit is that the item that you'll be bringing should be identifiable. Kufuna kube lula nje ukuthi sibone iba nema markings or whatever. Serial numbers, so that the store at Naingen and as a Puma it's still the same item. But we are saying if you still have that need, we are responsive. We will be willing to back on but you'll find that others have not done it. We're saying it's still time, they can do it, and then we can prioritize so that before the trade fair starts we would have processed.
Futhi ndawuvala nje Nkosi nje because the trade fair yaqala mhla ka 1. For labo labatawufuna kuqala ngale application ivulile until when?
I wouldn't say sivulile, or because it's a process that exists. It exists permanently. So whatever time when they think that they would need to bring goods into the country for the trade fair purpose, obviously I would say already today, Monday, Tuesday, because if a trade fair starts on
the first. Yeah, but you had said at least 30 days before. So it's less than 30 days trade fair yaqala, so but awukhona in vele.
Yes, they should be able. We want to say if they still have that need, they should actually do it. But obviously, if it gets as it gets closer to the trade fair, you'll find that it's already a bit late.
All right. Yeah. So ngifuna sikhulume Nkosi, I think you touched on indaba yokuthi bese mhlambe niyakhona kuba refunda labo labangenise lama goods. Ngabe what are the requirements ekusenda mhlambe application ukuthi so ucela a refund kenyalo, considering ukuthi mhlambe lawo ma goods lawo they are still solo akahla wakabe damaged. Ingabe ithini vele le procedure lapho?
The crucial thing here is that one, obviously we would want to see the goods. That's important because so we will have to ensure, you will have to ensure that the goods are there. They are physically there for you at the border now. But you would have declared the goods through some documentation with us, which we call an SAD 500 form. I think it's IM5, and you use that form because you would have used that form to bring goods into the country. It's the same form that you bring when you are coming back to us to say the proof of payment also, because you would have paid tax in terms of what you call the provisional payment, which you are asking us to refund you. Okay. So you should give us that proof, and then we should be able to process it.
All right, quickly, because 20 seconds for further assistance. The
number of that for is 2406 4050 to 406 4050. We are also available on WhatsApp 76063735. We are also active on Facebook, so they can contact us there. Thank you.
Right, thank you so much Sibonga kakhulu ngosisikhathi sakho. Mbukelisa utivele ukuthi uma ngabe ufisa ukungenisa mekhicido lapha eveni isikhashana nje lesincane ungachumana nabo baka ERS Badako City, especially because umsebenzi we trade fair nje uyaqala mhla ka1 uma ngabe inkampani noma business lefuna kuyo exhibitor khona a trade fair, so ungachumana nabo uve ukuthi ngimaphi ama procedures lekumele ukuthi uwalandzele. Let's take a break, sawube siqhubeke nehlelo.
Ubusebiyelele wena Mswati wabusa phambi kwetitha wasuyatindlula wasuyahamba wasuyashashabula uyimbubu ngwenyama ngumkhokho yabalekela udle emathole ezinyathi wena waphakathi bayethi
umnyaka wa-2023 ngumnyaka lomkhulu eSwatini njengoba live lihalalisela ingwenyama yenkosi Mswati wesithathu iminyaka lengama-55 yadalwa lihlanganiswe negubha iminyaka lengama-55 live latfola amazibuse Gamisa lo mkhosi lomkhulu welive umsakazo weSwatini TV umemasive ukuthi sibukele tinhlelo ezikhombisa imisebenzi yentuthuko yelive leyasukunyiswa yaphinze yasekelwa silo inkosi Mswati wesithathu lesolo isimamise live nalomuhla inhlelo lingena njalo ngelisonto ngensimbi yesine entsambama halala mbangazitha halala eSwatini.
2023 International Trade Fair. Eswatini TV brings you a trade fair promotion and a double celebration package. 5-minute live interview on location for only 4,600 emalangeni. A live Kusile breakfast show interview on location for as low as 3,450 emalangeni. 30 seconds complimentary message for only 12,638 emalangeni 50 cents. 30 seconds commercial advert with a minimum of 20 slots, corporate for only 659 emalangeni 15 cents. Small medium enterprise for only 332 emalangeni 72 cents. Promotion ends on the 30th of September 2023.
Right, welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Losanza kusivulela sakuvumukela nawe lomhlahlelweni besicatha ukukhulumisana la Communications Director losuka eSwatini Revenue Service konje tindzaba dekubhadalwa kwawo umthelo namhlanje sikhuluma ke ngemthelo requirements for temporary importation of goods lapha ekhaya eSwatini njengoba nje sekavedile umlangeni ukuthi kutabane amabhizinisi la ufisa kungenisa timvo lapha eveni, especially because kuqala yona i-trade fair mhla ka1 September. Uchazile ukuthi kuba occasions lapho khona import duties and taxes are suspended when goods are imported for a temporary period for both commercial and private purposes. Namhlanje sikhulume ngema goods temporary imported for commercial purposes. I think Jovedile nje ama examples ma temporary importation goods kuba ngema goods coming in for an exhibition, kuba ngema goods that are leased or hired for lefayakati equipment and machinery coming to your firm to perform a certain process. I think uchazile nje ukuthi vele tiningi dikampani mhlambe lesetivelile khona ka ERS.
Bese uyacacisa ke nalo ukuthi kunema terms and conditions. Kunetinto ke lokufuna ukuthi labo labakhona kungenisa leto tinto leto kufuna ukuthi bakhone ku-adherisha kutwenza bale fire cards payment kubhadala ku-securisha potential duties and taxes that must be provided in the form of imali lokuba deposit lebekwa as a provisional payment equivalent to cover ama duties as well as the taxes due to refundable when the goods are or rather re-exported. Kuphinze ke kufuneke i-bond leta ukavarisha duties nema taxes due as a temporary measure from either an approved insurance company noma ke libhange. Uvele uphindze waveta ukuthi leyo bond leyo must be filed on Form C110. Kanti ke uphindze waveta ukuthi prior to approval is required from ERS, noma ukuthi ke lawo ma-goods lawo must be easily identifiable marks and serial numbers, kubekisa nje tintfo letawuseta ukuthi ashesha abekuseke, that's if it is possible. Kanti ke uphindze wavetana lamanye ke ma-goods nje wathi the goods must be re-exported under the customs control. In case of hired goods, the additional following requirements applies. Wavete ukuthi submissions of the contract of hire, a purchase order, noma ke tax invoice that is issued in respect of one hired goods bearing the duration of the contract or the period of hire. Vetile ukuthi ke full description and identifying particulars and the hire charges. Kubhaliswa for withholding tax and akubita ke nge-WHT unit of the ERS as well as the remittance to the ERS lo kuba ke leshumi nesihlanu ekhulwini 15% of the higher charge as yona ke leyo WHT. Kanti ke uphindze wagcizelana lokuthi provisional payment noma ke security that is lodged against the temporary importation of the hired goods shall on application ishinjwe ke ukuthi ibe withholding tax.
Yeah, kunjalo kanti uvetile ke nokuthi time limits for temporary importation, the maximum period of temporary importation permitted is 6 months, which is renewable subject to the commissioner's discretion upon request. I think le nyenza la ivetile inzabe ukuthi bacela bawabuke lama goods ekucala ukuthi ngabe alungile ukuthi vele le business le noma inkampani ngakhona ukuthola a refund. Kanti ke for further assistance uyachumana nabo baka ERS enomborweni yabo yaka WhatsApp 3760363735.
Yeah, think nje lungelele sengibuka nje isikhathi kukhumbuta ke ngizabe likhetho only just one day, in fact less than 24 hours.
Yeah, less than 24 hours isifisa ukuthi abe kuphithitela kakhulu eveni. Njengoba savetile nje ABC ukuthi there will be 700 polling stations. Bamhla bakhubatekile, bamhla abadala, labadetfele, bomake labadetfele angeke batikhanze sebangena nabo emalayinini. I think lakuthembisele futhi na ABC indzaba ukuthi ngeke kube nemalayini lamathe. Wathembisela ukuthi indzaba dabo network ngeke tibe inkinga. So siyakholelwa ukuthi umsebenzi utawuhamba kahle elangeni lakusasa. Nema results kubhekile sifisa ukuthi nawo sewatfola mhlambe elangeni elilandzelako ngale ngesonto. And also lokumcoka ukuthi will be broadcasting the primary elections live kusukela kusasa ngensimbi yesibhodlongo ekuseni, so do tune in tomorrow morning.
Kanti ke belibandla letelkhetho nemincele inkundla lungelele silo nje bagcizelela ukuthi lo msebenzi njengoba utawucala abantu labasha, abantu labakhubatekile, bomake, bobabe, bonke nje labakhona from the age of 18 ukuthi babe part of lukhetho. In fact labakhona kubhalisa abaphume ngenombolo baye kuyawusebenta bakhona ukuthi ke bafake emavoti abo ukuthi lo msebenzi kutawuba ngumsebenzi lo muhle lophindze ke ube democratic njengoba athandza kusho Mbonisi Bhembe lungelele. Ngesikhathi sanyalo sabahlela emakethe masinyane sitawubuya sithathe i-traffic update, I believe.
Lesi sikhathi lapho khona emaphoyisa agubha kuba khona kwawo eveni. Kulapho kukhuthathwa khona sive ukuthi sike sihlale phansi sibuke bumcoka bemaphoyisa empilweni yabantu. Siphindze sibuke indlela letinsha tekuphepha kubo bonke bucala lobuveta sihloko. Sive sakangwane siyakhunjutwa ukuthi singawafaki emaphoyisa etinkulumeni tepolitiki ngoba liphoyisa alingeni futhi alingenelani nepolitiki. Emaphoyisa alwa nebucala netingoti temgwaco kuphela nje. Ingako emaphoyisa athi wonke umuntu eveni akahlale ngaphandle kwekunceneka ukuthi angahle ahlaselwe tilwane tasendle. Umuntu lohlala Eswatini akatiphilele atisebentele ngaphandle kwekwesaba kuhlaselwa kwemucwa nekucekelwa phansi kwembahla yakhe. Nawe wena lophathekile emaphoyisa athi digulele kahle uze uphile ngaphandle kwekuphatamiseka. Lokungenteka ngekuthi tidlova tingene tihlasele labo labakunakekelako kuleyo ndlu. Sive lesihlakaniphile nguleso lesiphakamisa kusebenta kwemaphoyisa nabo bonke labalwa nebucala. Ngale kwaloko timbungushe tiyawuwangenela emazinyane kungenamuntu ekhaya. Lo mlayeto niulethelwa ngemaphoyisa eMbube abambisene nomsakato wetithombe.
Siphindze sikwamukele ehlelweni ngolelo muhle kulesikhathi sanyalo sidawuba ukuthi sime kanjani simo emigwaqweni sisaqala yona imphela sonto lomhla ekseni Constable Ntombenhle Fakuthe sabavele nje basihlolele yonke imigwaqo yelive. Sikuvusele Ntolo lamhla ekseni uthina umbiko losiphathele wona.
Ngikuvusele Ncumalo, ngivusele naye umbukeliwe Kusile Breakfast Show. Imigwaqo yelive la Kangwane sesihlolile cishe yonkana imigwaqo leminengi iyahambeka ikhona leyo lenetikinyabeto kepha nje akusito letingenda kwekuthi umshayeli angakhoni kusebenzisa umgwaqo kulolu suku lanamuhla. Linani letimotolo ke etindzaweni letinengi noma ke emadolobheni lamakhulu elive nakuyo imigwaqo lemikhulu seliqalile liphakeme sithi nje bashayeli basashayela khona lapho abende sisimiseko kwekuthi bahlala bacaphele kakhulu timphawu letikhona emgwaqweni ikakhulukazi lona litubane sithi nje basashayela abende sisimiseko ukuthi bayalinaka kakhulu lona kwadise phela kwekuthi ngilo lo khanza selisibangela tingoti letinengi kakhulu emigwaqweni yelive. Emadolobha elive la Kangwane ahloliwe tibane temgwaqo tiyasebenza tonke ngalokufanele ngaphandle nje kwelidolobha lelikhulu laseMbabane lakhona tibane temgwaqo letilapha kaKiya nawuqhamuka ngakhona esibhedlela utawufuna kubheka khona eMangwaneni noma ubheke khona kuMalagwane leto tibane leto atiwuveti lomthulisholo lo sisa le uhluka ubheka ngesekudla sithi nje bashayeli basashayela khona lapho abacaphelisise kuze kuthi baphephe. Umgwaqo lomkhulu osuka khona ehekela laseNgwenya uye khona kaManzini lokufaka ekhathi naye eMalagwane uyahambeka kude sisinyabeto lesikhona nyalo ekseni. Ekhathi edolobheni kaManzini sihlolile nakhona tibane temgwaqo tiyasebenza tonke ngaphandle nje kwekuthi sibike umgwaqo lo suka lapha eBosco uyafika lapha kule traffic circle ukuthi solo uvaliwe kulandzela ukuthi uyakhiwa. Lubombo luhloliwe nalo kude tikhinyabeto letingakanani kungaba nje kuqaphelisa bona abashayeli basasebenzisa wona lo mgwaqo waselibonjeni kwadise phela ukuthi imigwaqo yaselibonjeni leminengi yayo inemaloli lamanengi kakhulu lathwala wona umoba nje bashayeli basahamba khona lapho abende isiqiniseko bashayeli bemaloli kwekuthi abalandzelani ngetigaba lesifudane noma ke bende ludwendwe ngawo wona emaloli nabo ke besimotelo tolo lesincane abende isiqiniseko kwekuthi abatilandzeli ifudane kwatise phela kwekuthi ukhanza kulesinye isikhathi sekuwa wona lo mthwalo soshado natimotolo sithi nje asikunake lokho kuze kuthi siphephe sisawusebenzisa umgwaqo. Ishiselo ihloliwe nayo lesingakubika khona eshiselweni umgwaqo losuka lapha enhlangano kaMjuda uye khona eCasino umgwaqo loyo siyathi malangeni lamahle kwekuthi uyakhiwa kulamalanga lokukhona vele solo uvaliwe kulandzela kona lo ukuthi uyakhiwa sithi nje bashayeli abachubeke basebenzise letinye tindlela kuze kuthi bakhone kusebenzisa kahle imigwaqo yasenhlangano noma ke bakhone kungena khona ekhathi edolobheni. Ngale kwaloko Ncumalo naye umbukeli imigwaqo yelive la Kangwane iyahambeka ngaphandle nje kwaleti sikabeto bese sitishito kungaba kufisela yena umbukeli usuku loluhle naloluphephile basetawusebenzisa yona imigwaqo yelive la Kangwane.
Sifakhulo Mntolo ngalo mbiko losipha wona uyavakala sithembe ukuthi batawenta nje labachubati imotolo kucaphela sikabeto letikhona kule migwaqo losoyibalila sibahlole emakethe masinyane sitabuyana tindzaba tesingisi.
Libandla letela ukhefo nemingcele iEBC latisa sive semaswati ukuthi mhla ka26 Ingci 2023 lilanga lelibekelwe sigaba selukhetfo lekuqala. kuleti gaba sive sidabe sikhetha labaqhuzelana kuba indvuna yenkundla noma kuba lilunga lephalamende emiphakathini yabo. Tikhungo tekuvota titawuvulwa ngensimbi yesikhombisa kutsi made kube insimbi yesikhombisa Ntsambama. Sive siyacelwa ukuthi sikhumbule kuphatha bomatisi baso siphinde sigcine nesikhathi.
Livoti lami libalulekile futhi alithengiswa. Ngede ngasala nasakha live letfu.
Heeded to the call by the head of state, His Majesty King Mswati III, to come out in their numbers and register to vote for a new government under the slogan, Ngetenga Sada Nasakha Live. Eswatini TV has also listened. Our newsroom is ready to deliver. Our journalists will be in all the polling stations in the 4 regions of the kingdom, covering live the 2023 primary elections. We'll be bringing you the events as they unfold through your traditional TV and social media platforms. The joy and disappointments, the mixed emotions, the anticipation of the unknown, and the tensions. You will be kept at the edge of your seats as our news crew hit the ground running as they bring you live the 2023 Eswatini primary elections. We at Eswatini Television Authority are committed to observing the Eswatini Communication Commission's Broadcasting Code of Conduct.
Under the code, we are committed to broadcast news that is current, free from hate speech, accurate, balanced, and fair.
From politics to business, health, agriculture, courts, and global news, we bring you the latest updates as they happen, when they happen.
We cover all the sporting codes from the football pitch to the chessboards.
This is Eswatini TV News.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. This is the news. His Majesty King Mswati III says the strong bilateral relations between Eswatini and Japan may be a great benefit to the kingdom in the aspect of the country's development, as the Kingdom of Eswatini is striving towards being amongst first world countries. His Majesty was speaking at Lozita Palace when receiving letters of credence from the Ambassador of Japan.
His Excellency Yoshito Shigeru, Ambassador-designate of Japan, arrived at Lozita Palace to present letters of credence to His Majesty King Mswati III. The Kingdom of Eswatini and Japan have reaffirmed their commitment to bilateral relations and have mutual interest between them. Presenting the letters of credence to His Majesty the King, the ambassador said the relations between the two countries were established in 1971 and they continue to bear fruits.
Japan has been deeply committed to contributing to Eswatini's priorities areas such as education, health care, agriculture, food security, and climate change through technical assistance, grant aid, and grant assistance for grassroots human security projects. I look forward to further promoting our bilateral relations and to continue contributing to the development of Eswatini.
His Majesty King Mswati III said with the appointment of the ambassador, the King is looking forward to developing these relations. His Majesty said Japan has been there for the kingdom, supporting the country in various areas.
We are grateful that there is that cooperation, and of course also through TICAD, which Japan is working with all African countries to make sure that the African countries do meet the goals which they want to reach. As you are aware that the African Union has a 2063 vision to make all people living in Africa to have a much better lifestyle in all sectors. And we are looking forward that as Africans, we will achieve this goal even before 2063. This is our hope. But we know that we need support and friends like Japan to be there to give us all the support.
Both countries established their relations so many years ago, and they have cooperation bilaterals. On the news, I'm Polile Mazia at Lozita Palace.
His Majesty King Mswati III says the relations between Eswatini and the Republic of India are the successful results of the strong relations and cooperation between India and Africa. His Majesty hoped for new areas of cooperation between the countries. He said this when receiving letters of credence from the Republic of India at Lozita Palace.
The ambassador of the Republic of India, His Excellency Ram Prasad, was second to arrive at Lozita Palace to present his letters of credence to His Majesty King Mswati III. His Excellency was accompanied by a delegation. India's relations with Eswatini are close, friendly and cordial. The two countries hold bilateral views on many regional, international and multilateral issues. Presenting his letters of credence, the ambassador said Eswatini is a key development partner for India.
On behalf of the Government of India, I convey our gratefulness to Your Majesty and Government for the great support extended to various India's candidatures at various multilateral fora. To build upon this and to further boost our bilateral relationship, I have reached out to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation for organizing the next Foreign Office consultations between India and Eswatini at a mutually convenient date and venue. Your Majesty, as I assume my duties as High Commissioner of the Republic of India to the Kingdom of Eswatini, I wish to assure Your Majesty that during my service, I will do everything I can to develop the relations between our two countries even further.
His Majesty King Mswati III said the support from the Republic of India goes a long way. The King expressed gratitude to the Government of India for the support and cooperation in various areas.
We are looking forward that even the new Parliament building, which you've just mentioned, which I'm told the designs are at an advanced stage, and pretty soon we will be doing the cutting of the sword, which is very, very important. And of course, as well as the backup system, which backs up the RSTP, the data center, that one which the site also has been identified as to where this particular backup system will be placed. We are looking forward to also the completion of this new project, big project, which India is engaged. It actually goes with the fact that India has promised some of these things during the Africa Summit. You do not just make the empty promises, but you also back it up with serious action.
The two countries have memorandum of understandings on trade, health and visa waiver agreement. On the news, I'm Polile Mazia at Lozita Palace.
His Majesty King Mswati III has blessed that next week, Thursday, August 31st, will be the day to present gifts for the upcoming 55 double celebrations. The announcement is made by the Minister of Home Affairs, Princess Lindiwe, who says that preparations for the double celebration are at an advanced stage. The minister says the gift presenting ceremony will be held at Manvulo Hall starting from 9 a.m. where gifts will be delivered. She continues to add that at 2 p.m. the actual event will take place where the gifts will be presented to their majesties.
Ngonyama ke sayibusisile bekunene kwekuthi lilanga letipho litaba mhla ka-31 enyangeni leSetulo kutabe kungilesine. Lo msebenzi lona awenteka eMandvulo esigodlweni lapho khona utawucala nga-9 ekuseni. Nga-2 bantu bebheke ukuthi nga-9 babe sebavele bacala baletha labo labalethe tipho tabo bese nga-2 uyacala umsebenzi. Sithanda kubonga wabetikhulu nemimango nabo somabhizinisi bese bavele bacalile kutshengisa ukuthi bayawusekela lo msebenzi wenkosi. Singasho ukuthi emalungiselelo alo msebenzi sekavele asecopheleleni lelisetulo. Njengoba niyabona bekunene noma nihamba lapha bosomhlolo stadium niyabona ukuthi kuyaphithitelwa vele kuyasetshenzwa kuvele kulungele lelo langa. Siyeva ke ukuthi vele eMaswati anayo le excitement anayo le njabulo nasi siyakhuluma bonke sebabheke ukuthi uyawufika nini mhla ka6. Sicela ke ukuthi bekunene sibe ngilesihloniphako ngalelo langa sitiphathe kahle. Bayethe wena phakathi.
The Minister of Commerce, Manqoba Khumalo, says the ministry is pleased to welcome investors who are not just looking to give their employees a minimum wage, but a living wage. The minister was officially handing over the reconstructed Hlatikulu factory to investors known as the Gender Group.
The Hlatikulu factory has been reconstructed through funds solicited from the Reconstruction Fund that was launched by His Majesty in September 2021. 50 million emalangeni was used to refurbish the factory. The Minister of Commerce, Manqoba Khumalo, says investors trading as Gender Group will employ 400 eMaswati.
Kunenkampani ke lapha le yakha emasokisi. Le nkampani yakha emasokisi ibitwa ngeGender Group isesikhwahlande. Cishe emasokisi onke 80% lo akhanzako esikhwahlande akhiwa ngile nkampani le. Kuyasijabulisa kakhulu lokhu ngoba siva ukuthi le nkampani lena inkampani letiphatha kahle tisebenzi besifuna vele inkampani lengafuni ubhadala bo minimum wage but ibhadale bo living wage bathi ke vele bayethembisa ukuthi batawuba ngcono ngemiholo kunalabanye oza kwabo ngoba bona bane philosophy le kahle iphatha kahle tisebenzi.
The Chief Executive Officer of Hlatikulu Town Board, Pesheya Dlamini, says the factory's reconstruction brings much delight across the town.
Nyalo nje kude bantu bebakade basebenza abantu bahlele emakhaya eziyalimala le firm so losuku lolikithi lifana nokuthi lisuku loluhle lokudalwa kwedolobha lakaHlatsi kuba naku sinesifirm lensha nema investors lamasha lataba kulo ledolobha sithakase kakhulu.
According to Micro Project, the factory will be fully completed by the end of next month. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Thando Mdluli, Hlatsi.
The Ministry of Education says TVET skills play a big role in creating job opportunities for the youth, especially when unemployment rate is high. Over 300 Sebenda Institute youth graduated on TVET skills at the George on Thursday.
306 students under the TVET program at Sebenda National Institute graduated on different skills including upholstery, plumbing, sewing, wiring, decor, amongst others. They took a period of 1 year. Representing the Minister of Education was Dr. Ndombenhle Dlamini, who said the Minister of Education supports TVET skills as learners are able to make a living out of.
Sibuke kakhulu indzaba yekudevelopa emakhono kubo bonke tifundiswa tethu takangwane noma ngabe wenze enyuvesi noma wenze ubusesibonile ukuthi umhlaba uthuthuka ngemakhono nebantu bathuthuka ngemakhono.
He also thanked partners who supported the learners. The director of SMEs in the Ministry of Commerce, Mluleki Dlamini, says TVET skills are the way to go, especially at a time when unemployment is high in the country.
Also like to appreciate the assistance that has been given by World Vision with other partners, and we're also looking forward into all these graduates going into entrepreneurship and also providing skills in their various communities for the improvement of their livelihoods. Thank you.
The students' courses were supported by World Vision.
vision designs programs to address the contextual issues that are happening in the country.
Siyezama ke lokuthi bantfu bethu mangabe sebagraduateile sizame kubabuka ukuthi lengaphandle bayakhona ukusebenza.
Some who have previously graduated are already able to make ends meet using their skills. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kiani Msibu Smuva Shongwe and Sabanile Msetwa at the George Hotel in Manzini.
The Minister of Finance says through the Center for Financial Inclusion, it wants to ensure that everyone in the kingdom has access to finance and is financially literate. Speaking at Hilton Garden in Babane, the Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Finance, Zagile Dlamini, says this is why they are currently supporting the formulation of the second National Financial Inclusion Strategy.
The 2018 FinScope Consumer Survey reveals that 85% of the population, especially persons 16 years and older, are financially included. The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Finance says more still needs to be done.
The goal of financial inclusion is to increase economic and social inclusion through improving access to appropriate financial services that fully meet consumers' financial needs and the activities in the economy. In this way, financial inclusion increases people's ability to obtain and sustain opportunities and helps to improve livelihoods.
The Deputy Governor at the Central Bank of Eswatini, Felicia Dlamini, says they will create a conducive environment for financial inclusion.
As a central bank, we are the implementer and also the policy maker. So we regulate financial entities and money operators and people in the payment space, entities in the payment space. So it is important for us to participate in this development of the financial inclusion strategy so that we can be able to cascade it as we design our guidelines, as we design our policies and instructions to the banks.
The financial sector has managed to reach the financial inclusion of 15% of the excluded adult population. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Langamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Mbabane.
The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Information, Communications and Technology, Pesha Dube, says the use of indigenous knowledge can help countries create high-quality jobs and sustainable growth of the country's economy. The PS was speaking during a stakeholder meeting on the use of indigenous knowledge for the development of remedies to manage HIV and AIDS in Eswatini and Zimbabwe.
The Southern African Development Community SADC, in partnership with the European Union, is funding the application of indigenous knowledge for the development and production of remedies to manage HIV and AIDS in Zimbabwe and in the Kingdom of Eswatini, with a sum of $600,000. The project is being rolled out in partnership with the University of Eswatini, the Ministry of Information, Communications and Technology through the Research Department, together with the African Union Outer Networks Network for Bioscience. The meeting with stakeholders was officially opened by the PS in the Ministry of ICT, Pesha Dube, who was represented by Sabalu Dlamini.
The quest for an African rebirth, what we call the Eswatini we want, should be driven by principles such as the promotion of indigenous African heritage and the promotion of Eswatini's IKS and its people. You will agree with me that local knowledge that has been passed on orally from generation to generation is a vital part of Eswatini's heritage.
SunBio manager Professor Eric Chakuya says safety and quality is key to the sustainability of these medicines.
How are we going to get our medicine available to everyone if we can't put it on the market? Because there are also genuine reasons, because we go and harvest out there in the bush, right? For very good reasons. So how do we manage the issue of conservation?
UNESCO Vice Chancellor Professor Justice Twala also made his remarks on behalf of the university.
It is therefore important to have programs that are aimed at developing indigenous knowledge, particularly in relation to the use of plants to improve human health.
The project is in line with the African Union's Agenda 2063, which strongly recommends access to African indigenous cultural information to promote sustainable development. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samkal Suyokoza with Sikombuzo Dlamini, Mbabane.
Some of Eswatini television staff are over the moon as they walked away with a fleet of different car models which were auctioned on Thursday within the station only for internal staff. Communications officer in the station says following a surplus of cars, the public will be invited to participate in the upcoming auction anticipated to take place shortly.
Eswatini TV communications officer Nomcebo Mpamali says today's auction was a success, and she clarifies that it was meant only for the internal staff.
Eswatini TV held an auction today where we were selling a fleet of old cars that have been used over the years. It was a very successful auction and it was open to internal staff to have their first preference. A number of cars were successfully sold, but we do have a couple of cars that are still in our possession. What we plan to do as an organization for the future is to open up the auction to the public. So we'd like to invite the public to continue watching Eswatini TV, where we shall make an official statement or a notice as to when the public auction will be taking place.
Mpamali further highlights that there is a surplus of cars in the station which is going to be auctioned shortly and the public will be invited. For Eswatini TV, I'm Pendulo Kumbi with this mover Shongwe. Babane.
The University of Eswatini Vice-Chancellor Professor Justice Twala says the university promotes scholarly excellence and restores the institution's infrastructure to world standards. The Vice-Chancellor was speaking during the launch of the Ayibuye University Maswati capital campaign that was launched in partnership with the UNESCO Foundation.
The launch of the project Ayibuye University Maswati campaign of 2023 was held at Hilton Garden Inn. Project Ayibuye, according to Professor Justice Twala, the Vice-Chancellor of the university, the project is aimed at restoring the institution's infrastructure to world-class standard.
The university structures are dilapidated. It needs to be painted. We also need to improve on our laboratories and also buy equipment. And also have more scholarships for students. As we are aware, most students are now self-sponsored and they are struggling. So this initiative is basically supposed to help students and also to rehabilitate the whole institution, all the necessary painting that is required.
UNESCO Foundation Board Chairperson Nozizwe Mlela says this project will help foster the transformation of future leaders, promote scholarly excellence, and enhance competitiveness of the Kingdom of Eswatini.
The campaign fosters the domestic, regional, and global competitiveness of the Kingdom of Eswatini through the honing of critical higher order skills that not only attract direct foreign investment, but also sustainable economic development.
The university will also formulate a well-structured scholarship fund through this project. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samuel Suekoza with Sikumbuzo Dlamini, Babane.
It's 7:20. Let's take a look at news-making headlines internationally. The Russian Federal Air Transport Agency has confirmed the death of Yevgeny Prigozhin, chief of the Russian mercenary group known as the Wagner Group.
A private plane carrying Wagner mercenary group chief Yevgeny Prigozhin crashed Wednesday, August 23rd, in the Tver region northwest of Moscow. Russian officials say Prigozhin, Wagner leader Dmitry Utkin, and Prigozhin's senior aide Valery Chekalov died in the crash, along with 4 other passengers and 3 crew members. Scott Lucas, a professor of international politics at the University College Dublin, says the crash was likely no accident.
Western intelligence agencies, not just the U.S., but European agencies, are sending out signals that it looks like that it was an anti-aircraft missile that took this down. Now, what you then take as the next step, unless you believe that a Russian anti-aircraft battery went rogue or that there was some type of, horrible mistake, that's a target. That's an operation. That is a targeted assassination.
Russia's official state news agency TASS reported that an investigation has been ordered into the crash. The crash happened exactly 2 months after Prigozhin started a mutiny against Russia's military leadership that lasted roughly 24 hours. Prigozhin and his forces turned around before reaching Moscow and were subsequently permitted to relocate to Belarus. Andrei Korobkov, an expert on Russia teaching at Middle Tennessee State University, was not surprised at all by Prigozhin's death.
It's been exactly 2 months, and it's very symbolic. From the start, I kept saying Prigozhin is doomed. He's violated the most important Kremlin rule. He wasn't loyal to the leader. What happened 2 months ago was embarrassing enough for Putin, so this crash was to be expected.
Lucas says that if the plane was deliberately brought down, it's Putin's way of sending a message.
It was done in such a way as to send a very public signal to others within the Russian establishment, within the military, within the political, within the economic elites, which is, if you cross me, if you challenge me, you will pay the ultimate price.
Korobkov adds that while the Wagner chief's death might benefit Putin, it likely won't benefit the Russian war effort in Ukraine.
Prigozhin showed himself as an effective manager and commander. Now the consequences will include tightening of control and grip, demanding more loyalty from commanders. But this can lead to loss of effectiveness and loss of control over both Wagner fighters and similar structures.
On Thursday, Putin offered condolences to families of plane crash victims and said Prigozhin was a talented person who made some serious mistakes.
Iran and Saudi Arabia were amongst 6 countries set to join Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa in the BRICS economic bloc from next year. The bloc announced on Thursday a move that will likely throw more scrutiny on Beijing's political influence in the Persian Gulf.
It's the second time that the Club of Emerging Economies is growing. Speaking in Johannesburg, President Cyril Ramaphosa, the current BRICS chair, announced a consensus on the latest expansion. Formed in 2009 by Brazil, Russia, India and China, South Africa joined a year later. The 6 new members, Argentina, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates, will officially join on the 1st of January 2024. The move is aimed at giving more clout to the bloc, which has pledged to champion the global south. Brazil's president said it confirms the group's growing relevance.
The BRICS GDP has now risen to 35% of global GDP at purchasing power parity, and member countries account for 46% of the world population.
The leader of the world's second biggest economy, China, said it shows the bloc's commitment to working with developing countries.
These new members provide a new starting point for BRICS cooperation and inject new impetus into the BRICS cooperation mechanism.
The incoming members hailed their inclusion as historic. The new look BRICS is a motley mix of big and small economies and democratic and authoritarian states, and it underscores a conviction of strength in diversity in the face of a Western-dominated global system.
Zimbabwe's president has extended voting by another day after long delays marred the start of balloting in key districts and sparked opposition accusations of rigging and voter suppression. As polling began to close in some voting stations, it was only starting in others, prompting opposition accusations of vote manipulation after a campaign marked by tension and a clampdown.
Some residents here in Harare waited for hours to vote after their ballot papers failed to arrive on time. According to a presidential decree, Zimbabwe has now extended voting by a day in certain wards. The notice stated that 40, including 11 in the capital, were affected by the delays.
The queue is still very long, and we don't know when our other friends are going to leave this place. Some have even gone home to get blankets to come and keep themselves warm like I have done, because I also want to cast my vote.
People are still waiting in voting queues. That on its own tells you that things are not going on well, and these are things that we really need to see a change in this country.
The incumbent president, 80-year-old Emerson Mnangagwa, is facing once again Nelson Chamisa, 45, from the Citizens Coalition for Change. Chamisa said voting delays were a deliberate attempt to alter results.
It's clear and a deliberate plot. They are targeting urban areas. They've made sure that there are no ballots for the councillors. There are no ballots for other candidates.
NGOs have accused authorities of blocking opposition rallies and campaigns. Asked if he had a message for the nation, President Mnangagwa replied,
Peace, 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 and violence.
President Mnangagwa hailed high turnout among young voters.
8 Republican presidential candidates traded barbs on Wednesday at their first debate of the 2024 elections as they jockeyed for position behind the absent frontrunner Donald Trump, who derided the event in a pre-taped interview aimed at siphoning away viewers.
If former President Trump is convicted in a court of law, would you still support him as your party's choice? Please raise your hand if you would.
He may not have been on stage, but Donald Trump was still in the spotlight in Wisconsin as 8 Republican candidates held the party's first debate, vying to become the leading alternative. While attacks were expected to focus on Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, currently scoring a distant second, it was 38-year-old tech entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy who took much of the heat after his recent rise in the polls.
Let us be honest as Republicans. I'm the only person on the stage who isn't bought and paid for, so I can say this. The climate change agenda is a hoax.
We don't need to bring in a rookie. We don't need to bring in people without experience.
Ramaswamy was the only one on stage to say he'd oppose ongoing funding for Ukraine, one of the topics that divided candidates, along with when and how to restrict abortion.
You want to okay, let me address that. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm going to address each of those right now. This is the false lies of a professional politician. There you have it.
Your watch,
so the reality
make America less safe. You have no foreign policy experience, and it shows.
And you know,
one topic they all agreed on, criticizing the economic policies of Democratic President Joe Biden.
The elephant not in the room.
And all but 2 said they'd support Donald Trump regardless of criminal conviction.
The conduct is beneath the office of President of the United States.
Meanwhile, the former U.S. president was racking up millions of views for an interview recorded with former Fox News host Tucker Carlson, broadcast on social media platform X just 5 minutes before the debate began. Donald Trump is expected to snub every Republican debate, the next of which is scheduled for the end of September.
Japan began releasing wastewater from the crippled Fukushima nuclear plant into the Pacific Ocean on Thursday, prompting a furious China to ban all seafood imports from its neighbor. The start of the discharge of around 540 Olympic swimming pools worth of water over several decades is a big step in decommissioning the still highly dangerous site 12 years after one of the world's worst nuclear accidents.
It's a controversial move from Japan, which has sparked protests at home and further afield. On Thursday, Japan began discharging treated radioactive water from the tsunami-wrecked Fukushima nuclear power plant into the Pacific Ocean.
With regard to the release of the ALPS treated water into the ocean, we think of this as a big milestone towards one of many steps of decommissioning of the nuclear power plant and a solid move forward. Based on the fundamental policy of not releasing a large amount in one go, we will be continuing the release over the course of around 30 years.
The plan to release the water, around 540 Olympic swimming pools worth, was given the green light by the UN nuclear watchdog, the IAEA, in July. The IAEA has said the discharge is in line with safety standards and that its impact on humans and the environment will be negligible. But this hasn't allayed fears among the Japanese public. Dozens of protesters gathered in the capital hours before the release began.
Fishermen have always been against it. 12 years after the accident, they're finally seeing some prospect of being able to fish on the previous scale. But once the water gets dumped, their efforts will be jeopardized, and they'll have to start from scratch again.
The move has also sparked fears in neighboring countries, including protests in South Korea. In Seoul, at least 14 college students who stormed a building housing the Japanese embassy were arrested during demonstrations on Thursday. China, meanwhile, has imposed a ban on all seafood imports from Japan.
In our sports news, we begin with a roundup with Swaziland National Association of Teachers that has once again received a kit to be used during the upcoming regional teacher sports games to be held in Botswana from Friday the 25th to Sunday the 27th this month. Deputy President of the association, Bonkosi Msibi, says the kind gesture they have been getting through different stakeholders in a form of a kit will bring a positive note within the team ahead of the games.
We begin our sports roundup with the Swaziland National Association of Teachers that has once again received a kit from Solanis to be used during the upcoming regional teachers sports games to be held in Botswana from Friday the 25th to Sunday the 27th of this month. Deputy President of the association, Bonkosi Msibi, says the kind gesture they have been getting through different stakeholders in a form of kit will bring a positive note within the team ahead of the games.
Of a friendship and a relationship that we hope we maintain ukuze nathi simsupport eSolanis emalunga ethu botishela bang almost half of civil service so mangabe sonke singasupporta Solanis sicabasa ukukhulu esingakuthola kuSolanis.
Brian Mohammed, who spoke on behalf of Solanis Shisanyama, he mentioned that this is part of their programs of giving back to the community by appreciating those who support their business.
We initiative Solanis, the charity organization, the 700 Solanis, the Sundusa Rocks charity, kutsi natsi sponsors vivanen.
And in other news, Volleyball Association is happy to announce that the newly introduced commissions, being the Eswatini Volleyball Coaches Commission and Eswatini Volleyball Referees Commission, will continue to play a very big role in the development of the sport, especially to teams that represent the country internationally. The biggest assignment ahead of these commissions and the association at large is to prepare the national team for the Zimbabwean regional games next month. And lastly, in our international news, Manchester City from England continue the chase of two players, being Matthew Neves of Wolves and Eberechi Eze of Crystal Palace, aged 25 years old. City is looking to sign the duo after their chase for West Ham United and Brazilian star Lucas Paqueta failed. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonera, Mbabane.
It's 25 minutes before 8 o'clock. We've come to the end of our English bulletin. Thank you for staying with us. Let's take a break. We'll be back shortly.
Namhla sibe sikhuluma na Mr. John Mlelekeng, who is the news editor-in-chief. Lotobe akhuluma kabanti ngama-elections that will be taking place on the 26th of August. Siyathi ukuthi umsakazo utimisele ukuthi ngaleli langa lelo litawuphuma gcwale lonke live laMswati khona sitawukhona kuletha accurate information, live information as it takes place. Mr. John Mlelekeng, thank you for joining us. I know we are very excited. The newsroom is ready to bring us quality content. Logo stop cover elections on the 26th. What are your plans?
Umsakazo we-Eswatini TV njengaloku sikulesigaba lapho khona live ngawusho ukuthi likuma elections kusasakha kwethu njengaloku uyaveta ingwenyama ukuthi kude lo tawusala nasakha live lethu. So nathi ke singumsakazo sisukumile kubonga nje nabaphathi bestage lo ukuthi bayithathele initiative ngatototi imbili tandla babone lo bomcoka bekuthi singumsakazo wetitfombe we have to reflect lokwenteka ku society. So nyalo ke kulama elections sicale kumbe savela kuma nominations le lapho khona besivela nje at a minimal level kodwa nje kukhombisa ukuthi i-capability yemsakazo ingakanani. Nyalo ke lokusiya kuma primary elections nomcebo kungaba kusho nje ukuthi kutaba exciting njengaloku bosushido ukuthi nathi silihlangothi letindzaba sibukene current affairs sifuna ukuthi as lama elections endeka siwa report bosuthi indzaba ukuthi sibe factual singabi ne bias sivete nje silandzele ama ethical standards lesisebenta ngawo sitinzathele. So kutawuthi ke ngalomgcibelo ke nomcebo ngilapho khona vele sithi umbukeli wemsakazo yeSwatini TV liswati alivuke lihlale embe kwamabona kutse walo ngoba sitabe vele sivuka nabo basayeta inkundleni basafaka lawo ma votes abo sitabe leso sithombe sesinikisa emakhaya kuhambe ke ezilanga liprogressa nomcebo ngiyathi lothi bese sekuba interesting because ngilase sibona khona ukuthi bani nabani bachuthelene vele sekuvotiwe and ezikwenteka nale ngaphandle kwalama voting centers noma letikhungo tekuvota nakhona kuba netinkhulumo letikhona also want to capture that. So kusho nje ukuthi vele sitabe sihambane sive semaswati singumsakazo lonke lelanga la ngemgcibelo size siyofika kusihlwa solo siletha nje ukuthi nyalo kwenteka naku nanaku.
So let's talk innovation in terms of the extensive coverage of elections in Mhlaka 26. What innovations are you going to have in place?
Lokuthi nje sitabe siletha live from lama locations noma lama constituencies ku-innovation ngekwako lokho lokuthi sitabe si-reporter real time. We don't take that lightly. I think kuhamba kilo leline lalishoko umphathi nekwakuthi ke nasikhuluma kule field yaka broadcasting nomcebo kunetinfo letendekako labanye bakhuluma ukuthi ukuhlangana kwetinfo we lapho khona kune internet kuphinze kube nema smart gadgets kuphinze kube nale TV yethu la sisakata khona lesingathi nyalo kumbe it's a traditional platform. So ke lokwenteka ukuthi tiya converge tonke letinfo itolo iTV bongayibukela nje in isolation ukuthi une aerial yakho uyakhona kubukela kodwa namhla sithi TV yakho iconnected to the internet udathi now uthi uyangena ukhanze kunabo YouTube nathi ke singumsakazo sesingenile kulowo mkhakha loyo kwitolo letinkundla tekuchumana ukuthi nje ka YouTube nasikhuluma ngathi sidabe sisakada sidabe sikulo mabona kutse lomkhulu nanoma ngabe umvuye esitolo uyothenga shukela nakanale data utawukhona ukuthi abukele lokwenteka ku Eswatini TV kwenza lapho kunabo Facebook lapho sithi khona anakhona asingene kuleso space leso singenelani ke nomcebo singenela ukuthi kulamalanga yinengi i-disinformation noma nje ngawuthi inkulumo letakhiwa tingabi liqiniso ngenhloso ukuthi kuconze ukuthi kudukise sive. So lesifuna kwenda ukuthi thina si maintain lokuthi we are traditional but siyangena la kule new media space nakhona nasingena solo sidana lama practices ethu ukuthi thina we do fact checking asimani nje sikhulume indzaba noma sikhulume nakulabathi ma fake news kulamalanga. On top of that ke simbonile iSwatini TV nakuma nominations angena na ku TikTok lokusho ukuthi we are penetrating konke lawo ma platforms lawo innovation leyo nalokuthi ke esisathi sakada letindzaba tethu delicate siphinze sibe nale feedback sithi thina that approach i-participatory lokusho ukuthi esisakada asisakadele nje umuntu lesimbuka ngekuthi utawuthatha lesikushoko sithi naye akube khona la siniketa kona in form of feedback.
It's election time and we know ukuthi it can get very controversial at times, because it's a sensitive exercise. We can't run away from that, and the way there is elements kumbe of ipolitiki but hayi kakhulu but nje lokuthi vele there is a certain element towards ipolitiki ingabe nikuphi ising Eswatini TV ngoba masikhuluma nje that controversial or that sensitive issue leyo sithi we need to have neutral and unbiased reporting. And we know ukuthi makuyiwa lena tinkundleni la kuhlangene khona abantu ngaphela sibambo sihlukile lama elements ke ale kuba controversial ayavela vele. So ema topics ngabe kumbe lento banawo or ema means ekuthi nikhona ukuthi ngabe you've made up something controversial ngabe netakhendlisha kanjani nalokuthi mangabe nithi ndoba neutral and unbiased, how are you going to carry that out?
Singumsakato kungasithine Eswatini TV yonke nje imisakato the world over baba nema approaches towards kusebenza kwabo, and thina singumsakato Eswatini TV siclearly ukuthi imandate yethu ukuthi sisite live ukuthi litfutfuke. So our approach is developmental. Lokusho ukuthi thina nangabe kumbe besingafuna phindze singene kuma principles lekungitona ngawusho ukuthi idimiso noma imigomo lesisebenza ngayo. Besitawuthi sonzeta kulenye principle labathi it's a principle of the golden mean. Lesho ukuthi ke yona nomcebo between two extremes ubofuna imoderation. Lokusho ukuthi dikhanze usemkhathisini, ungadikhanzi ukhashane, ungadikhanzi kumbe uselele ngemuva kakhulu. So thina ngekusho kanjalo sithini sithi nakuma elections kwente kati info letinyenti kukhona neinformation lotfola ukuthi seyasensationalizwa, but now ubuka le value yayo kule approach yethu uthole ukuthi akusa align because sebantu nje ngiyabekisa bese balwa labanye lokwa nalokwa. Sina sibuka nje ukuthi le process lena kufanele ukuthi ibe ne-integrity. We are there to ensure ukuthi vele siyakubona yini lokho njengaloku sisho ukuthi thina sivekela sive semaswati. Sibuka lokho ukuthi nasifaka ema-reports ethu kufanele ukuthi abe factual. Lokusho ukuthi sireporte ngale ndlela vele leme kakhulu eqinisweni lekungena essence ye-journalism lasitholakala khona thina.
As you'll be rolling out this information ni reporter, ni kokatinzaba, ni analyzer, what analytics are you going to exercise or imply in the Sebendino?
Thine konke i-direction sithatha kulomuthi welive nakasibita nje nakukhulunywa ngilasifike sithole khona umkhombandlela ukuthi live libheke kuphi. So nayikhuluma nje ngonyama ukuthi live kufuneka ukuthi lithuthuke lifike kulesigaba sekuthi sifika ku first world status. Sineke kwethu ukuthi sale sihamba ke naleyo message leyo. Konke lokwenteka kusibuke ukuthi kuya align yini nayo lokuthi nakangena lo muntu ngiyabekisa loyo loseakhethiwe eParliament. Uyakhona yini ukuthi kumbe nekusebenzisa tonke inhlelo letibekwe live kumbe kuthuthukisa imimango. Uyakhona yini ukuthi ikhulumisa abe kumbe futhi anga encroach ndawubekisa nje kulamalanga ndawuthi lehovisi la AG bahleti neParliament bafundzisana ngayo imithetho lengicabanga ukuthi kulokunye kwakhona ngiloko ukuthi nalama roles ahamba la aphele la. Siyathi ke ukuthi thina sicala kubobaba ebucopho nabo siyathi ukuthi cha baba ebucopho nasikhuluma nje ngenfuthuko emangweni ngiyena vele lo driver yaleyo mfuthuko leyo. Kunendvuna yenkundla lesingayibuka thina ukuthi ngiyena umuntu lesitawuthi CEO lobuka i-constituency ukuthi ifunctiona kahle in all aspects. Bese ke sesiyabuya sesifika elungeni leParliament. Lo mvulo I think the level is a little bit higher now because yena is at policy level. Live yes gona vele sitamkhetha ukuthi uchamuka from i-constituency, but nasase Parliament sesigadze ukuthi sobukele nelive lonke. Nasishaya nje umthetho lesithi kumbe ubuketa indzaba debantu labasha akusabenefit inkundla yakhe kuphela, sekubenefita yonke insha lekuleti inkundla tetfu tonke letikhona even. So thina sibuka along those lines nomcebo.
Cela usitshele nje ngale packaging of the content lentobe ni roll out as the newsroom or nje sing Eswatini TV at large.
Ngalo Saturday lesingakugadza ukuthi we'll have a studio panel lapho khona sithi sinetinsatheli nato lesithemba ukuthi titawubamba lo msebenzi ngato timbili tandla. Tisivusa ekseni tisitshela ukuthi ilanga lethu namuhla lima kanje bathinta kumbe nemlandvo ukuthi sichamukaphi silive lokunamhla sila lokunye lesigadzile sigadze ukuthi nasivuka tinsatheli lela tikhona khona njengalokho titabe tiganexelive lonke nato tisitshele ukuthi nasivuka nje ngiyabekisa ngisemaseyisini cha sivuka emaseyisini namhla libalele siyasibona nesive sesivele sicalile siyakhona itikhungweni tekuvota ngilesigadzile lokho sigadzeke ukuthi nakhona tichubeka letindzaba maybe lapho khona sidzinga i-clarity kumbe from EBC nangabe ukhona lo official noma longena anale authority esimthole studio asikhulumise sigadzile ukuthi kumbe nabo bemthetho ngoba ukhetho ngicabanga lokho ukuthi kufuneka ukuthi libe free and fair. Asigadzi ukuthi lemuntu usanga intimidateka ngeke yena so decide ukuthi uyofaka livoti nabo basho ukuthi cha vele basiniketele siciniseko ukuthi kutabe kusetshenzwa esigadzile futhi ukuthi sikhulume nesive lesisebenzisa tona letindlela zokuxhumana lengingakhuluma ngato ukuthi at some point we will have interaction maybe coming from the social media platforms. Kulokunye ke we will be crossing live to certain locations kusebenzisa yona le technology nale innovation njengoba ukuthi nangabe kumbe ibhisi ngiyabekisa kusaqhubeka nalikhetho so ubiti press conference lekinvo lehleyendeka we are able to cross over sifike lapho bakhona khona lesikhatsini lesiningi kuba kusemahhovisini abo enkhanini so kunyendi sifisile ke ukuthi sivete kumbe nema analytics nje lokusho ukuthi sesikhuluma kumbe ma statistics lapho ukuthi cha njengaloku nasibhalisa ubonile nomcebo ukuthi si adopte technology silive bebe sikhona kwathi ukuthi bomake lababhalisile bangaka bobabe bangaka kule nkhundla le so at some point isikhathi nalo ukuthi we also want ukuthi sifike nalapho kusho ukuthi cha inombolo yabomake siyayibona kumbe ikhulile ngoba naba labawinile sisolo siya analyze ngaleli sonto and also probably provide some debates lesicanga ukuthi now are controlled and measured akhulumisa dona letindzaba lesitabe sititfola ezikuchubeka wona lomsebenzi.
Overall goal Eswatini TV, would you like to share?
Kwekuthi nje nomcebo sikhona ukuthi lo msebenzi lomkhulu welive siuvede esiveni seMaswati siuvede emhlabeni ngendlela lesingasho ukuthi nasibuka in terms of our reporting unbiased yakhombisa lokuthi tinzatheli leti trainekile letiwatiko umsebenzi wado ngoba lokukhulu kakhulu ukuthi esiwenda lo msebenzi singadikhohlwa nathi because before kwananathi nje sibe tinzatheli cabanga ukuthi sichamuka kuma communities sichamuka kuma constituencies so we uphold that value lesethemba futhi ukuthi kufanele bese sesireflecta nasesiveni seMaswati so ligoli lelikhulu ukuthi umsakado ukhona kuvetela sive seMaswati umsebenzi lomkhulu welive ngekwenda kanjalo live libuye libe munye libumbane ngokuthi kukhona lokusihlanganisako sikhona lokudadi ukuthi sibobani sehluke ngani kulabanye kakhulu inhlonipho nomcebo.
Siyathi kuse my elections they happen every 5 years. How excited are you about this round of elections?
Sifuna lokuthi nasivuka umvathi nje asengivule Eswatini TV that's being relevant ke ku audience lokuthi nje babe nale justification ukuthi bakuvule because bafuna ukuthola information lencabanga ukuthi iyashisa isese kahle yes siyawathi ke ma biases la khona kule media space yethu thina sika broadcast which is electronic kukhona baka print lokunye nje lokutasijabulisa ngilothi nabo sibashaye vele basilandzele ngemuva esitikhipha letindzaba balandzele ngemuva njalo kungisho sinathi sikhona ku social media lokusho ukuthi vele we are going all out to compete tindzaba nako konke isinto.
That's the energy and the spirit that we need ukuthi vele xa ugijinywa information siyasho sakhomita sing Eswatini TV ukuthi vele sidayi broadcaster as it happens. Thank you very much. That was our umphathi we news department Mr. John Mlelekeng. I guess sesivile enintibele nonke Maswati lamahle ukuthi Eswazi TV noma Eswatini TV njalo otobe aphumile a coverage lonke iliva lamswati sini nita information as it happens. We are going to be live lamanye ma programs atobe packed. There'll be more information goma social media pages ethu sendela ukuthi kube bede noma kube neliswati lelisayela emuva as lama elections will be taking place on the 26th of August.
Bekuyeke lokuxhumanisa siteshi Eswatini TV nelo editor in chief wetindzaba lapha station John Mlelekeng basinika nje ukuthi sitabe sisakada kanjani likhetho siteshi Eswatini TV kule mphela sonto kodwa ke noma bonke abantu bajabulele ama elections kule mphela sonto temidlalo nanato solo tihamba nje ngalolo nyawo ma fans ma sports ajabule kakhulu ekutheni ma sports ayachubeka lolo nyawo lolo ke sesinayo Linda Mastadlamini ukukhulumisa dona lemidlalo nkosi ngikwamukele ehlelweni sibuke nje naliviki nalesisuka kulo we saw a few games leswabonile ku PSL we did see Junior Mediators goal ku Sundowns loba securishele a very important win I think for Sundowns ngoba uhlale usho ukuthi Sundowns i-team lesayikhombisile ukuthi they are indeed a force to be reckoned with info lesay undoubted lekungafuna ukuthi siyidebate leyo. Let's talk about this game sitaqhubeka nakulamanye nkosi
sifisa ngiyathi ukuthi nguvusele nambukelo Eswatini TV ngiyathi ukuthi labanye batathi kusese early iligi ihambile ngiyathi ukuthi labanye batathi early iMamelodi Sundowns emva kwemidlalo lesihlanu leseyidlalile unxube yonke nawubuka after 5 games isengafiki ekudlaleni ngelizinga le Mamelodi Sundowns liyatiwa ngalo. Imagine ke kusi abakadlali kahle kodwa bayawina. Nase baqale ukudlala kahle ke and kunebadlali futhi lesingasho ukuthi Sifiso uyabona nje Themba Zwane sothola emaminutes lamancane against yona nje Richards Bay wadlala wangena ku 88 minutes so uyabona ukuthi vele cha kunebadlali lapho and kunemidlalo wethu ke Justice Figueredo lesingasho ukuthi kule game le udlale kahle kakhulu ku Richards Bay.
Yeah, I just really wanted you to highlight that one. Sisaqhubeka kuma fixture master, but we did see Sekhukhune United winning go Cape Town sitting at 1-0 as well. But let's look at our fixtures for this coming week. Guyo e Premier Soccer League, yes, South Africa. Cape Town Spurs versus Chippa United. I'm not really sure if that's a game that everyone's excited about, but Kaizer Chiefs, people are worried about how they are playing, master. Itatawutwane Amazulu. I think focus kakhulu because we're also chasing time.
Yes, hosta Chiefs hosta khona FNB le game lena and uyakhumbula ukuthi igame yabo yegcina iKaizer Chiefs against TS Galaxy eMbombela. Coach waphuma ngesemagundwane balandzele sebafuna kumbamba lapha enkundleni. So iKaizer Chiefs ihosta yona eMazulu and eMazulu nawo ngicaba ukuthi akayiqali kahle isizini lesetulu but awufuna ukuthi bathole le point against Kaizer Chiefs. Kaizer Chiefs kuna striker lesisha lesicamka eColombia so nabo tawufuna mhlawumbe ukuthi coach Molefintseki amdlalise kule game lena tokhona ukuthola i-first win season ya 2023-2024.
So ngifuna sihambe, I'm afraid because of the time ngifuna siye English Premier League. I think Lana the biggest interest was that game. I want us to move on to the English Premier League. Arsenal obviously securing that win during the week. Leseba securishele ngingathini kukhombisa nje to maintain an early good start ku Premier League. Sitawabuka ema-log standings but sisabuka nama-fixture now sitakhuluma Arsenal sesibuka log standing. Chelsea idlala lamuhla neLuton.
Yeah, i-Chelsea versus Luton Town. I-Chelsea yahosa eStamford Bridge lengicabanga ukuthi nakhona i-Chelsea ikumele ukuthi ibuye idlale kahle kule game lena since iyakhala phasi ku-West Ham. Ngicabanga ukuthi itayi is a win for yona i-Chelsea. Yes, i-Luton Town basayinile bo Barkley but ngicabanga ukuthi for Chelsea batawubuya bayiwine le game.
Master, Bournemouth will play Tottenham, that's fine. Brentford will play Crystal Palace. It's going to be an interesting game.
Highest scoring game there, Brentford Crystal Palace.
Brentford is going to respectfully, it's going to ravish Crystal Palace. Arsenal versus Fulham. It's going to be tomorrow, 4 p.m. Master, really interested in Arsenal because we saw what they did last year, and so far so good again this year, especially because before the season started, what they did to Man City.
Gabriel Jesus is back. Ubuyile uyatilolonga nayo licembu le-Arsenal. And nawubuka ngendlela leyadlala ngayo Arsenal against Crystal Palace kwathi noma seyithole red card ya Tomiyasu but yachubeka yayigrinda le result yakhona kunqoba against Crystal Palace nalama changes la wenda Arteta sababona boZinchenko angena kokuqala ingenela le game sababona abadlali abanjengabo Gabriel emuva i-defender boKivio ngicabanga ukuthi against Fulham ekhaya. Yes, last season Arsenal ma point inqumbi yawadropa ekhaya than away, so kule game le esikhathile ukuthi Arsenal iwine because nangale iFulham as much as babayalethile badlala abasha but akekho Mitrovic striker sabo lesibonile last season sidlala ama games lamaningi kakhulu. Ukhona striker lesiqhamuka kuWolves lengicabanga ukuthi naso singaba ingoti kule game le but is a win for Arsenal.
Here's Manchester United, currently placed at the 12th seed. Master is going to play against the 10th seed in Nottingham Forest. It should be an easy win for Manchester United, according to pundits. But I think I'm mostly interested, Mina, particularly on Manchester City's game against Sheffield United, I believe. Is it Sheffield United this Sunday? Or it's Newcastle? I'm not really sure. What are they playing?
Yeah, Sheffield United away. Badlala City away. Idlala ne Sheffield United. Ngicabanga ukuthi iManchester City is Sifiso as much as away siyathi ukuthi kulukhuni kudlala away but against Sheffield United
it should be easy.
Yeah,
does that mean the biggest game this weekend is Liverpool versus Newcastle?
Yes.
I know me and you are rooting for Newcastle. Hayi master phela ngathi ukuthi sifavor Newcastle nawe why ngathi soyangaba.
No, ngifavor Isaac.
I know, but between
yeah, but le
Isaac
game
and Liverpool.
no le game lena iNewcastle itayiwina. Mo especially ukuthi iLiverpool ecampaign yayo kunetindzaba tethi Mohamed Salah ngenteka eSaudi Arabia namhla nje ebusuku ngenteka basi badlala le game iNewcastle ideal yakhe eSaudi Arabia ibe seyifinaliziwe so ngenteka kubaphatamise kakhulu lokho and Newcastle ngale iyawashala amagoli.
Babukeli beSwatini TV kufuna batibukele ke tindzaba talamhla. Ethemba master you give us the full story on that as the day develops. But here are the current standings. We do see Everton lapha Emsileni. Wolves batsiteka i-relegator this year. Kusho umngane wakho Fabrice Msonera master. But we'll see.
Can be Everton.
Yeah. We'll see how that unfolds. Looking at the time, I'm not sure if we can still talk about briefly La Liga. It's also going to be an interesting week. It's just 3 minutes before 8, Master. Just briefly, let's look at this fixture for this weekend. The biggest game, well, for me, is FC Barcelona versus Villarreal, but I wouldn't know between you.
Villarreal against Barcelona but Villarreal nayo ehlisile kancane ngicabanga Barcelona yes tabe away tabe kuyi tough game for Barcelona but kumele ukuthi Barcelona ingatosala kakhulu because in Madrid idlala away ku Celta Vigo so ngicabanga lama teams lang2 lawa ngenteka noma ngayini kuwo because eSpain sibonile ukuthi wadlala away uba nenkinga and vele njengoba ngishilo ngathi Real Madrid solo iqalile 2 games ina 6 points Barcelona itawufuna ukuthi ibuye because ina 4 points so if batawusala kule game le ngicabanga ukuthi itabanika i-challenge lenkulu kakhulu because iMadrid yavula once yavula itaba likhulu ukuthi bayikhanda
itaba likhulu vele ukuthi idliwe iMadrid looking at the fact that it's playing Celta Vigo that is placed at the 16th seed with a 0 winner. Master, we've come to the end of the program. Unfortunately, thank you so much for joining us, Lomhla Ekseni. Even though I always appreciate your insights. Thank you for staying with us. Nibe nempela sonto lenhle sithembe ukuthi indawo phuma ngenombolo kuyavota kuleti khongo letahlukene letikhona ke lapha eveni. Nibe nempela sonto lenhle sale kahle.
Libandla letela ukhefo nemingcele iEBC latisa sive semaswati ukuthi mhla ka26 Ingci 2023 lilanga lelibekelwe sigaba selukhetfo lekuqala. Kuleti gaba sive sitabe sikhetha labaqhuthelana kuba indvuna yenkundla noma kuba lilunga leParliament emiphakatsini yabo. Tikhungo tekuvota titawuvulwa ngensimbi yesikhombisa kudzimate kube insimbi yesikhombisa ntsambama. Sive siyacelwa ukuthi sikhumbule kuphatha bomatisi baso siphinde sigcine nesikhathi.
Livoti lami libalulekile futhi alithengiswa. Ngede ngasala nasakha live letfu.